This GeForce Now Thursday is quite exciting. We have some big games coming this week, a quick preview of some big games coming in October and November, and we're going to be discussing Logitech's G Cloud. That's their brand new cloud gaming handheld built from the ground up with GeForce Now support. We'll be breaking it all down in today's video, so let's get to it. Let's kick things off by talking about the G Cloud. This gaming handheld was designed by Logitech and Tencent with the support of GeForce Now and Xbox teams. As the name implies, it was designed for cloud gaming, and that makes it a very different product compared to other gaming handhelds, and for good reason. Unlike most other handhelds, you don't need to be running the highest end hardware to make AAA gaming on the go a possibility. The G Cloud, for instance, runs on a Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G. By no means is that a weak processor, but it's certainly not a new one. And despite that, this device is sporting a 1920 by 1080p display, full HD. That's a resolution you don't even get on a Steam Deck or Nintendo Switch. Another thing you won't get on either of those devices is a long battery life. They end up topping out around 3 to 6 hours of intense gameplay. As for the G Cloud, you're looking at around 12 hours of gameplay. Other technical specs you might want to know is that it does have an onboard speaker as well as a microphone that features echo cancellation and noise suppression. Along with that, you have a headphone jack, Bluetooth 5.1, and a digital USB-C for USB-C enabled headphones as well. The device does run on Android, so you have full access to the Google Play Store to download whatever apps you want, which means it shouldn't be too hard to get other cloud gaming services or apps downloaded and installed on the device too. Now when it comes to pricing, they're currently up for pre-order at a discounted rate of $299. Afterwards, it will be costing $349. It's set to release October 17th, and well, I gotta say, it looks pretty nice. I'm currently debating getting my hands on one of these for the channel to actually showcase and review it, but I'm in a bit of a weird spot as I already own a Steam Deck and it's pretty much my exclusive cloud gaming handheld already. I'd be lying if I didn't admit that the idea of a 1080p display, a longer battery life, and a much lighter device isn't tempting though. My Steam Deck works great on the go, but when I'm lying in bed, it's definitely not comfortable to hold over my head. As for my overall thoughts on the announcement, I gotta admit, the pricing is a bit of a hurdle. At $299, it's definitely on the higher end of what I'd be willing to pay for a device like this, but I'm not willing to write it off either because depending on the overall material, the quality of the buttons used, and just how it feels to play on, I think it might be worth it. I know I've seen a few statements about why wouldn't you just buy a Razer Kishi or Backbone and hook it up to your smartphone and use that for cloud gaming? And my response is that if you're happy with that sort of system, definitely go for it if it works for you. But there are certainly benefits to a dedicated gaming handheld that you just won't get out of a smartphone setup, such as ergonomics. From the ground up, the gaming handheld is built for your hands to play from short to long sessions. A controller adapter for your smartphone, on the other hand, has to take into account the variety of shapes and sizes that smartphones come in. As someone who owns a Kishi and a Backbone one, I will admit that the Steam Deck is much more comfortable to play on than either of those adapters. There are other benefits to take into account, such as not having to use your phone's battery life to play some games, but ultimately, my biggest argument will always come down to ergonomics. I just find comfort worth the price. Obviously all subjective, but that's just my own thoughts. I do fully expect to see more of these cloud gaming handhelds to eventually hit the market, but some things I would like to see in a Generation 2 G Cloud would be a higher refresh rate screen. This one currently only supports 60Hz, but I would really be happy to see a 120Hz model. Other additions such as an OLED screen and Wi-Fi 6 would also be greatly appreciated. Regardless, it's really cool to see a product like this actually hitting markets so soon. I still consider this the early days of cloud gaming and there's a lot more room to grow, but the fact that big companies like Logitech and Tencent are taking note of the market really is a good sign of things to come. Either way, that's enough about the G Cloud. Now let's talk about the games coming to GFN this week. Weeks like this one are always exciting because there's a pretty big franchise coming to GeForce Now. This time, it's the Total War Warhammer series. The first, second, and third installment will now be available to play via GFN. Total War already is massive in its own right, and Warhammer is just another colossal IP, and when you combine the two, you get this awesome strategy game. It combines turn-based civilization management with real-time epic strategy battles. It's a franchise I've seen a lot of people ask for over on GFN, and I'm happy to say that it's finally here. Also worth pointing out that the game is developed by Creative Assembly and published by Sega. By no means is it the first Sega published title on the service, but it definitely is the biggest IP so far. If anyone from Sega happens to be watching this, please bring over Soul Hackers 2, Persona, and Like a Dragon. But these three titles aren't the only addition this week, the following games will also arrive. Blind Fate, Ito no Yami, Construction Simulator, Solstice, Stone's Keeper, and Potion Permit. All games are brand new releases over on Steam, so be sure to go check them out. But now let's highlight 3 games that are going to be coming to GeForce Now in October and November 4 that you might want to keep an eye out for. First up is a title that was announced at the GeForce Beyond event, and that's Portal RTX. This is Valve's classic game built with the pretty insane modding tool that they're calling NVIDIA RTX Remix. It fully transforms the game to have full ray tracing support from start to finish. Every light is ray traced and casts shadows, global illumination, indirect lighting naturally illuminates and darkens rooms, and volumetric ray traced lighting scatters through fog and smoke, and shadows are pixel perfect. Portal with RTX is set to release in November, and it will be a free downloadable add-on content which you can wishlist on Steam right now. I know I can't wait to actually check this out on the 3080 tier. Portal is just an absolutely fantastic game that definitely deserves a playthrough with RTX on. Another major title launching that same month on the 30th is Warhammer 40k Darktide. And from what I've heard from people who've gone hands-on with it, it's pretty much Left 4 Dead meets the Warhammer IP, and that sounds plain awesome. It's also worth pointing out that it does use Vermintide 2's melee system, which is a fantastic starting point for that sort of thing. Best of all, the title does support NVIDIA DLSS and ray tracing, so it's another prime candidate to be running on the 3080 tier to really put it through its paces. But let's say you can't wait till November. In October, a big game is on the way, and it's none other than A Plague Tale Requiem. It launches October 18th with ray tracing support as well. I think it's more than fair to say that A Plague Tale Innocence came out in 2019 and surprised a lot of people with just how good it was. Requiem takes place after those events in 14th century France, where you'll get to explore new regions and vibrant cities. But death and destruction returns in a flood of devouring rats, and you'll be forced to flee once more. This is a great title to see on GeForce Now because it is a sequel to a very beloved game, and it's yet another great graphical showcase that can really harness the power of the 3080 tier. 3 seriously great games coming out in the next 2 months that I really can't wait to play. Overall, I'd say this has been a pretty fantastic GFN Thursday. And while that does wrap up all the news, I do want to give a quick shout out and thanks to NVIDIA for hosting the GFN Summer Series. Some of you may have caught one of the events that I actually decided to stream. It was us playing Garfield Kart, but basically they held a bit of a tournament for us content creators covering GFN to have a bit of fun. In it, we got to compete in over 5 different games available on GFN through the cloud, and well, your boy here won all 5. Just in case you have some doubts that I only talk about video games and not play them, there you go. As you can see, they sent me over this really cool trophy and I'm more than happy to have it. I just wanted to give my thanks and a quick shout to everyone involved in setting up the tournaments. It was a lot of fun and I really hope to do it again. Either way, that wraps up this news video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out. And if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. If you haven't already, be sure to join our community Discord. Link to it is in the description below. I'd love to have you there, and it's the best place to keep up to date with me as well as reach out to me. As always, thank you for watching the video. I hope you have a great day. This has been the Virtual Cloud, giving you the latest and greatest on everything cloud gaming related, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.